Hello and welcome to the Racetech Euro V8 SuperCar Series live on Apex Racing TV. We are here today at the Daytona International Speedway for a 90-minute endurance race, the first endurance race of this Season 7 of the Championship. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and a bit of a change in the commentary booth alongside me today is not Marco Balbiner, it's Ryan Walker, so he's still got a fantastic accent in the commentary booth tonight. And also Sam Kuma is on the cameras as well. And Ryan, I think it's your first time broadcasting this series. Very grateful for you to join us today. And I think of all the rounds, this is a pretty good one to join for. 90 minutes round Daytona. So that a lot of these drivers will have experience round in endurance events, of course, with the 24 hours. And this car and track, I think it's a decent combination. This car can really stretch its legs around this place.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, Sam. Good evening, everyone. Daytona International Speedway, one of the, for me personally, or one of my favourites. It's one of my favourite tracks to race on in endurance racing and just racing on iRacing in general. And I think tonight, with these V8 supercars and with it being a 90-minute race, I think we could be in for some absolutely fantastic racing.
Yes, the last time we joined her, this is actually the first ever track I broadcasted a V8 Supercar race round back in Season 4, Round 2, Season 4. It was a while ago, now about a year and a half ago. Yeah, on that day we had a terrific race. Had a terrific strategy race, just by the way, or an update on the strategy. Should be quite a simple two-stopper, I believe. Our experts, strategist, Tony Klusterman, lets us know that it should be 2 stops, pitting every 17 laps or so. There could be a bit of deviation, but really not too much there. So expect, strategy not to play too much apart. These drivers can absolutely bomb it round this place. Could be a little bit of strategy with whether they take tyres or not, but certainly it should be whoever is the fastest should come out on top. There is Tony, currently in 5th place on circuit. In terms of the championship, by the way, of course, we've got the main series and the sprint series. This is the main series. And it's currently Johnny Brandon, the season 5 champion, leading the way. The reigning champion, Nicole Foggy, is in 2nd place, very close between those two. George McClay, who was very strong at the last endurance race we had in this series, is in 3rd. Then it's Victor Tanaka, who's made a full-time return to this series, and he's back here today as well, is in 4th. And then it's Tony Kluseman, once again, in 5th position. So the drivers just completing their qualifying laps at the moment. We've got a couple more minutes of qualifying to go. And Ryan, I don't know if you've ever done kind of this type of length race, but I imagine you've got to take quite a different strategy in terms of practicing for an event like this, because one mistake, of course, can absolutely ruin your day.
Yeah, absolutely. With the V8 supercars, I guess you've got to you've got to set the car up in a way to last the whole race. Maybe do stuff like make sure the tires last the whole stunt, and also, yeah, I guess in a way you've got in your mind as well, psychological. I'll get my words out, but yeah, it's kind of, I guess you've got to change your approach from a sprint mentality to an endurance racing mentality. So yeah, there's plenty of things to consider, and also you've got to change. So I think it'll be interesting to see what sort of strategies these guys will use for this race.
Yes, and yeah, while some drivers might be fast over one lap, you're absolutely right. Some drivers may struggle over the course of the race. Got a good turnout as well today, 29 drivers. Being able to keep up that turnout pretty much for the entire season just shows how the league has really grown strongly. And of course, if you do fancy giving the Euro V8 Supercar a go, certainly sign up to the series. Contact us or contact Clyde Whiting on Discord or Facebook, and certainly can get you signed up for the series. Nicole Foggy, looks like that's going to be the end of his qualifying session. We've got less than a minute to go. So unless he can do a formation lap in that time, that will be it for him. Johnny Brandon currently sitting on pole position. I was saying before, Ryan, how the XVR drivers are probably going to be the favourites, not because they're way faster than everyone else, but because they've just got a couple of tenths of a second over everyone else. But they're so consistent that they just seem to always win these races, and it is really impressive how kind of consistent Brandon and Foggy have been over the past couple of seasons in this championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been watching Johnny Brandon and Nicole Foggy this season so far in the broadcasts that I've watched this season. And yeah, they're one of those teams that seem to be, yeah, basically whenever you watch, they're one of those teams that are always guaranteed to be up at the front and always doing well and getting good results. And yeah, it'd be hard to look by them this evening. But with it being a 90-minute race, I think it could be. Yeah, I don't think they'll get it all their own way.
I think they finished 1 and 2 in both of the endurance races last season. Certainly Le Mans they did. Not sure about the other oval or the other really significant oval, of course, Charlotte makes Speedway. They maybe finished 1 and 3 on that day, so they are usually very competitive in these races. A couple of new drivers as well around for today. I think Chad Parker is new. Also, Juan Matsev, who we're currently watching right now, new to the series. And well, I can see a livery. It's a very nice looking livery, that, with the H on the car. I don't know, well, High Speed, seemingly, is maybe the team name. So, very impressed by that. He's putting in his last qualifying lap in currently, pretty much out of the top drivers. Not too much action. Maybe Jamie McKnight might be able to improve. Matib crosses the line, and that's a very good time. He puts himself up into the top 9 ahead of some very good drivers. Jamie McKnight and Victor Tanaka in particular. Also, Greg Carr, he's ahead. And yeah, really some high quality driving from a lot of these guys out here today. A little bit of a mixed up grid in that midfield. Also got Jamie McKnight about to finish his laps. I'm not sure if this is, well, no, he's going to the pits, and that's certainly not the fastest way to complete your lap. But it could be a bit of a problematic start, this, I imagine. And yes, it is 90 minutes, so you'd expect the drivers to be nice and relaxed and probably not taking any risks. But that turn 1 gets ever so tight, doesn't it? And it's very difficult to break into that corner in any car, let alone this V8 supercar.
Yeah, absolutely. Turn one, it's one of those corners. It seems to be wide on the entry, but in the middle of the corner, it seems to get tight, and then basically on the exit as well, it's tight as well. So I think for the first few laps, these guys might try and be a little bit more cautious and not try and gain some track position from the get go like you would see in the sprint round. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what sort of strategy these guys will go for. If they'll go for a kind of a sprint mentality in the early stages, or just take the more cautious approach.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. Not the easiest car to overtake in is this, so on the start could be a fantastic opportunity, and with as many cars that we've got out here, perhaps the start is going to be their best chance for a good result. So, qualifying is complete, and so we can go through the grid. Johnny Brandon is on pole position by just under 2/10 of a second ahead of his teammate and main championship rival, Nicole Foggy. George McClay sits in 3rd place. Expect him to really be able to rival those top 2. Michael Talianchich, I think, with his best qualifying of the season, the former champion, of course, starts in 4th place. Chris Jackson is in 5th with Tony Klusman. A little bit of a disappointing 6th place, but certainly don't count out Tony. He does not enjoy this circuit, though, safe to say. Gary Croft, a very competitive qualifying for him, only about 10th of a second off his teammates in 7th. Then it's Richard Warringham in 8th. Juan Matsev, who first time in this series popped it into the top 9. Very impressive. Jay McKnight starts in 10th. Watch out for him. He's usually very good in these endurance races as well. So too is Victor Tanaka. A bit of a disappointing qualifying for him in 11th. Then it's Greg Carr in 12th. Lane O'Connor 13th. Then it's Steve Lavelli, Anthony Woodward, Nikolai Bogotayev, Michael Mueller, Ole Christian Unberg, Bobby Charles, Adam Delmont, Adam McNally, Ashley Beard. Those three struggling a little bit seemingly around this circuit. Andrew Hoffman and Chad Parker. Those were the drivers who set times. And then it will be Hal Stadler, Ronald Moons, Clyde Whiting, Bill Switzer, and Dave Janssen. Hopefully a few of those drivers will take start, especially Stadler, because he's usually one of the best of the rest drivers. So if he starts in near the back, could be a very exciting driver to watch. So, 19 minutes of racing to go, about to get the pace car underway. And if you were George McClare in this situation, Ryan, you were talking earlier on how you'd be quite maybe cautious on the opening few laps. But yeah, it's a tough task for George to stay with these top two. Would you maybe be trying to pull some strategic tactics maybe out there, save a bit of fuel? I guess he's got to try something to if he's going to win this race.
Yeah, I think if you want to try something different with the strategy, maybe for George, say with him starting in P3, he could try and maybe if he can stick with Brandon and Foggy, he could try and maybe if he can stick in the draft, he could maybe try and fuel save a little bit, maybe do something like maybe lift and coast into the corner, or maybe brake a little bit earlier. Yeah, just try and do something like that, and just try and save a little bit of fuel, and maybe try and jump Brandon and Foggy in the pit stops. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think there could be say some different strategies being used by most of these drivers up at the front. So yeah, it'll be yeah, keep your eyes out.
Absolutely, and keep your eyes out for this start as well. Could be very important. It's Brandon from the pole position. Foggy's won the last two enduro races. Can Brandon put an end to that? We're about to get 90 minutes of running away here at Daytona International Speedway, and Johnny Brandon powers away from the rest of the field. Foggy will keep second position ahead of McClay. Taliancic still in fourth. Policeman straight away gets past Jackson seemingly, although they are still side by side. They've got to make sure that they don't hit each other, the never quit racing drivers. So far, through turn one, quite clean. Mativ's got ahead of Warmingham, Tanaka ahead of McKnight, but no drivers have dropped more than 2 positions so far on this opening lap. You can see Warmingham having to go side by side there with Tanaka. He'll be desperate to get this move done, well, Tanaka. Warmingham, sometimes usually the more gentlemanly driver, Tanaka usually quite aggressive, so it will be an interesting matchup this. Tanaka on the outside for Never Quit Racing, going to go all the way around the outside. Already a race winner, of course, so far this season is Tanaka, and I think he's going to get that move done. Jay McKnight only just on the tail now.
Contact behind.
And now contact for McKnight goes into the back of Warmingham. Fortunately, they seem to have got away with without too much damage, but a little bit of nose damage there for McKnight.
Yeah, I think it was just a bit of a just watching that incident. I think it was just a bit of a concertina effect, and maybe they just both drivers just kind of one driver braked early, and the one behind just got caught out and had no time to react. But yeah, it was nothing major, and both guys are still going. But they might have to take I think in the series they get a fast repair. If yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam.
You're absolutely right. They do get one fast repair. Do these drivers? We'll be interested to see when they use that, of course, as a good car seemingly picks up a slowdown. He's certainly running the highlight. Yeah, that's a slowdown. And I mean, I'm sure you've had that before, Ryan, where you pick up a slowdown at that bus stop. It absolutely kills you on the opening lap.
Yeah, it just if you get a slowdown on the exit of the bus stop, it just kills your momentum, and also you just lose loads of time having to slow down as you've got yeah, got two wide, even 3 wide into turn 1. So yeah, fantastic races so far.
Yep, it's O'Connor at the head of this train. Oh, and very wide there for Steve Lavelli. And that's a really disappointing for Lavelli because he'd actually had a decent start. I think he'd already gained a place. But when you go wide at that turn 2, there's you can lose a lot of time because just get sucked out onto the grass there. No grip whatsoever on the outside of the circuit. And now it's Adam McNally for Excite iRacing trying to get the move. We'll probably have to wait till the bus stop, I imagine, to probably go for an overtake. Struggling to get the power down. I did do a couple of laps around this track in this car, and you always forget how difficult it is to get the power down in this car. And you can see McNally, quite an experienced driver in this car after the past few months taking part in this, so he's still struggling himself to get the absolute most out of that V8 Supercar. Stadler now just behind him. As I did say, Stadler didn't set a qualifying time, and he'd be dangerous. Well, here he goes. He's up 6 places already, the highest mover so far.
Absolutely, as Adam Delmont gets sideways for the bus stop and manages to hold it. That was a perfect save. As I think Delmont's got a slowdown.
Yeah, going right to the inside of the circuit. Ever so disappointing for Delmont, as we almost see side by side for the race lead. And it is now Nicole Foggy in the race lead. quite extraordinary. He's overtaken his teammate Johnny Brandon as the two XBR drivers go side by side. They'll no doubt be chatting to one another currently, and it's Brandon who takes back the lead on this lap 3. Foggy had got the move done. He couldn't make it stick though, and look how close McClay and Taliancic are as well. Chris Jackson as well closed in on these drivers on the last lap as well with the fastest lap of the race. So yeah, the two overtakes in as many corners there, Ryan. Quite surprising between the top two.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Brandon and Foggy would have been working together to try and pull away, but it seems that they're holding each other up a little bit. And yeah, on the other hand as well, that's allowing George McClay and Taliancet to stay with them.
Yeah, they're staying a really close third and fourth at the moment. Not quite sure how Foggy managed to get past Brandon before the start-finish line, but, well, the important thing is how he got the lead straight back after a mistake from Johnny Brandon. Top 3 separated by pretty much 1 second. Super close at the moment, and Chris Jackson, yeah, like I said on that last lap, was 8 tenths faster than these leading 4. We could have a leading 5, and this is probably more exciting than we thought that this race would be. Perhaps a little bit of a feeling after the recent endurance races in this series that Brandon and Foggy were going to dominate. As Foggy, has he got a slowdown there? Just taking a very unusual line, maybe trying some tactics with his teammates. Either way, it's worked decently for him, maybe making the draft to George McClay behind, but they stay line astern on this lap 4 of this 90-minute race.
Yeah, absolutely. As right on board with George McClay in P3 at the moment, and I think judging by just watching George's onboard, I think he's more than happy just to sit behind Brandon and Foggy at the moment, and maybe just kind of save a little bit of fuel.
Seemingly an issue for Tony Klusman earlier on in the race. He was down 4 positions, but he's now still behind one Matip. Just got past Richard Warmingham, did these two drivers, I believe. So Warmingham having a bit of issue down into turn 1. Also, Victor Tanaka, after all of that, he's up 5 places. Didn't really notice that. He'd got a decent start. He made up 1 place on the opening lap, but since then he's just been picking them off one by one. And despite starting down in 11th place, he's only about 3.5 seconds off the race lead currently, so that's really positive for him. Here comes Tony Klusterman then, alongside Juan Matip, one of probably the least experienced driver against the most experienced driver. I think it's going to be experience that pays, at least at this point in the race. Klusterman moving ahead of Matip, who's glitching in and out a little bit, having some connection issues there. Klusterman gets it stopped, but I think Matip might have the better run out of this corner. And very close battle this for P8 in the race. Klusterman did chat last week. There was the sprint series where they had, as Bobby Charles has an off, and that's very disappointing for him. He's going to have to use the faster pair I think he has available, because he's missing the rear end of his car.
Yeah, absolutely. I recognise Bobby as well. I've seen him in some other various leagues, such as the Racetech Sports Car Series. Bobby's always been a safe pair of hands. Maybe not always the quickest driver on his day, but he's a consistent driver and he can bring points home. But he did mention he was still getting used to this V8 supercar, and he's slowly getting to grips with it.
Yeah, seemingly not too much damage on that car, so he'll try to get to the pit stop threshold, if you will, which will mean that he only has to do 2 stops in this race. You do not want to have an extra pit stop, because this is a long pit lane. You do go very fast down this pit lane, to be fair, so I don't think it's actually too bad, but still, don't want to have any more pit stops than necessary. Still quite very close between the top 3, by the way. I was looking at it just a little bit recently because it was getting really close, and the top 3 were separated by about 3 tenths of a second. They are dropping Taliancic a little bit. Chris Jackson's, though, really fast. He's consistently the fastest driver out on circuit. You can just see him in 5th place there. To be fair, Taliancic all of a sudden closing back in on McClay right now. But Jackson's right there. Tanaka as well was the fastest driver out on circuit on that last lap. could have a 6-way battle for this win, which would be absolutely awesome. And don't count out Gary Croft, who's having an awesome run as well. This is as competitive I've ever seen Gary Croft be out here. So clearly never quit racing, nailing this setup. And they've got 2 of their drivers very near the front. As yeah, now lap 5 in the books, lap 6 is started, and we see side by side here. This is McKnight and O'Connor, and also Woodward as well. Bogotayev just in the background there. As they break for turn 1. Going around the outside ever so difficult at that turn 1. You can see the track almost drops away from you, and Woodward stays behind. He's currently running in 13th place.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just yeah, I think Woodward tried to go around the outside of Lane O'Connor, but I think he just couldn't get the run on the exit of turn 1. But yeah, these 4 cars are still close together at the tail end of the top 10. But I think with it being a 90-minute race, these guys are maybe just saying to themselves it's not worth trying to make any risky moves at this stage of the race. As we're about 10 minutes into this race, I think. So yeah, there's still a long way to go. So, but looking at Tony Klusterman, or well, we were looking at Tony Klusterman. Adam Delmont's ran wide in the horseshoe, I think it is, and he's lost his bonnet, I think.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. A deceivingly difficult corner, this, and he's just locked up the brakes. You know what? He's lucky. Not much run off there whatsoever, but he's managed to control the car nicely. I'm sure if that was some turn 16 outside of the circuit drag strip, as we had in the German Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago, he would have been sailing off into the barrier there, but was quite fortunate there. Just some good old-fashioned grass for him to stop on. You can see the top 4 still close. Yeah. Here comes McClay. Foggy lifting off a little bit early there, and McClay half thought about going for the move. One of the most consistent drivers actually in this series is George McClay, and he's usually not overly aggressive. Just won 1 race in his couple of seasons that he's taken part in, which is really not fair to his talents whatsoever. So he's consistently fighting for race wins in every single meeting. But I don't know about you, Ryan. I'd say Johnny Brandon seems to be the slowest out of these guys. He seems to be holding them all up, and they're all just waiting to make the move on him. It's quite unusual for a champion as Johnny Brandon is, and the championship leader as well, to seemingly be the 6th fastest driver out on circuit.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that Johnny's not pulled away. Normally, whenever I watched him this season, he's always managed to pull away and build up a bit of a gap. But I think with Daytona, just basically being with the long straights as well, if you can stuck in the slipstream, then you've always got a chance of keeping up with the car in front of you. And I think that this is a case. This is the case at the moment. Just as George McClay tries to look up the inside of Foggy, but backs out of it into the bus stop.
Just trying to put off the leading 2. Surely Foggy and Brandon are going to have to change positions soon, because I'm almost certain Foggy is the faster driver, although they are fighting for the championship, so I don't really know how you can do that. Well, I don't envy their position at the moment. Foggy continues to run that high line. I think just desperate to not give McClay the slipstream, and he doesn't want to overtake his own teammates. So very difficult for Nicole Foggy, and he's trying not to overtake the driver ahead, but at the same time not be overtaken by the driver behind. Here comes McClay though, down the inside into turn 1. Can he get the car stopped? They almost make contact. Foggy will hang it around the outside. If he can keep his car on the inside there, he'll have the inside for the next major hairpin. Here comes Talyancic down the inside, almost contact between 2nd and 3rd, and here comes Foggy, and Talyancic goes past the pair of them. Fantastic driving there from Michael Talyancic, the Season 3 winner, and there he goes up into 2nd position, and it was a mistake from the 2 drivers in front of him that he managed to force, and he's up into 2nd place. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, Michael in 2nd place just basically just pounced when Foggy and George McClay got caught up with each other. That just gave a chance for the Italia. I can't say the second name. Michael in 2nd place a chance to go by and pick up the pieces. So yeah, and also it's gave Johnny Brandon a chance to pull away and build up a little bit of a gap.
whilst that was all going on, Victor Tanaka's got past Chris Jackson. They are teammates, so maybe a bit of tactical work there. And you can see McClay all of a sudden from looking really aggressive, really attacking in third place. Looked like he was maybe going to be able to get up into the lead. All of a sudden, in the clutches of Victor Tanaka, who was 1 second faster than the race leader on that last lap. Of course, we could be playing team games here. Who knows? Maybe they're saving a bit of fuel. But at the moment, it's looking extremely competitive amongst these guys. Here was Taliancic. He thought he could maybe get the move down McClay. Certainly no contact that I could see there. I don't know why Foggy went cross-side. It's rare to see Nick or Foggy make a mistake like that because he repelled the initial attack from the drivers behind and then just seemed to go deep on his own whim. But yeah, either way, Taliancic gets up into second place, and you can see straight away caught up to Johnny Brandon. And I can't remember the last time that Taliancic actually won one of these races, but it's been a while. Doesn't turn up for every week, but my God, I'm very pleased he turned up for this week.
Yeah, absolutely. He's having a brilliant race so far, and yeah, he's managed to close right up to the back of Johnny Brandon straight away. As yeah, he runs wide a little bit, but yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. It's not like Johnny Brandon to be. I'm not sure if he's struggling or not, or if he's maybe just controlling the pace and maybe looking after his tyres and saving a little bit of fuel. But yeah, nevertheless, I'm enjoying this race so far, and yeah, this pack of cars is making it even more exciting.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, this is as entertaining as it gets because sure, we haven't really, well, we've seen two moves for the lead so far, but the tension that's building up amongst these drivers is fantastic. And Brandon there maybe was lifting coasting. He seemed to lose a lot of time in the braking zone there. Either way, here comes Taliancic. And this is going to be his best chance yet at going for the move. Look at, and now Brandon's going to let him
Someone's on the
pass
wall in the
seemingly.
background. Sorry,
Yes,
sorry to interrupt you, Sam. I just seen a car going off in the background on the entry to the banking after the bus stop.
we'll try to get a glimpse at that in a moment, but here comes Taliancic. He's gone straight into the lead past Johnny Brandon. Foggy's managed to hold off McClay. Now, will Foggy get past Brandon here? No. Oh, Taliancic's pretty deep on the brakes. They got it all stopped, though. And now this is the time where Taliancic has really got to pull away. He seems to be the fastest driver out here. He has a pace advantage over Brandon. Now he's got to make it pay and try to build up as big a gap as he can in this part of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just checking now. I think that car that hit the wall in the exit of or on the entry to the banking was Victor Tanaka.
Really disappointing that for Tanaka because he was certainly in the running for maybe a race win, maybe a screen freeze there. Certainly an unusual incident for him, and you can see having to struggle back to the pits. I mean, this is, oh, he's hit the wall again. I don't think that's going to do too much damage to his car. Certainly hope it doesn't. But, well, I mean, could this be a Lewis Hamilton Monaco 08 situation where Briggs the car comes in early and it turns out to be the perfect strategic call? Probably not, but well, maybe it's written in the stars. Here's Adam McNally having a mistake. This was with Andrew Hoffman, I believe, or sorry, Michael Mueller, and well, poor Mueller there. McNally off the circuit, and yeah, not good for either of those drivers. That was Hoffman, sorry.
Yeah, just that was unlucky for Hoffman. He just had nowhere to go. As just looking at what's in the replay, I think, and yeah, I think he's blown an engine.
Nah, it's a real shame for Andrew Hoffman. Still seems to be driving decently, actually, does that car, so we'll at least get it back to the pits. Of course, I don't know if you saw, Ryan, the new damage model earlier today, that preview video. It looks very nice. Did you manage to see it?
Yeah, I have to say I watched it this morning, and I'm absolutely looking forward to it. I think it'll add a new element to iRacing and in races as well. I think some some drivers like making moves that basically it's just a slight nudge and like, they get away with it. I think the new damage model will probably mean some drivers will have to be a lot more kind of not cautious but more careful in the races.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, certainly losing fenders and stuff. He skates around the circuit. There goes Jay McKnight, who's his car's been in the war. I'd like to see what his car would look like with the new damaged model. Of course, the TCR car has the new damaged model. I'm really hoping that the car will be released with the damaged model. I mean, surely it must be because they wouldn't have built the old damaged model into the TCR car, so it's got to surely have the new damaged model. Certainly, fingers crossed for that one. And of course, that will be on Apex Racing TV in the coming months once it's released. Here's this little battle a little bit further down the order involving Clyde Whiting along with Adam Delmont and Michael Mueller, Chad Parker, and Ronald Mears, and McKnight just a little bit detached from these guys at the moment. And Whiting, the only one of these drivers actually who's a club driver. The others are pro rookies. I think Whiting's got some league admin and the supreme leader of the league, of course. And yeah, at the moment, showing how it's done to the young guys as Michael Mueller and Chad Parker go side by side. That is Parker moving ahead of Mueller. And nicely done there, past the Phantom Sim Racing driver.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a nice move by Chad. Yeah, still doing a good job at the moment, but for the D2D esports team, manages to get the move done, and he's up into I think he's up into P20.
Might be up into P19 in a moment, trying to get the power down. Now, this position on the outside of this hairpin hasn't been favoured by the drivers because you can see you're just leaving a channel for drivers to swim down the inside. And unfortunately, there for Parker, he's lost that one position that he just gained. So certainly should keep that in mind for later on, showing that it's pretty much impossible to go around the outside of that corner. You desperately don't want to be on that part of the circuit. You don't want to be off the circuit either. Adam Delmont has just found that out, and he's now given up 3 places, which he was hanging on valiantly to. He's now got to make them all back up again.
Was just watching Chad Parker as well. He got a bit sideways on the he's spun onto the entry of banking.
I don't think anyone wants P20 out there, is what I've learnt. They're like, nah, you have it. Parker back on his way. There are worse places to spin the car around this circuit where you could hit a wall, but fortunately, just tarmac out there. Ronald Moons, is he losing out? That's a fantastic move there, actually, from Adam Delmont. Credit to that, because Delmont was very deep on the outside of the his opponent, but just about got him stopped on the bus stop as well, and could power away from his goal. Might not be over though. This one here comes Means. You can see that slipstream effect, which isn't too strong in these V8 supercars, remember. But it's very strong around this Daytona Speedway, of course, with the length of straights that we have, and the car number 69, Rod of Means, who should be taking part in the British GT League tomorrow. He's trying to pull ahead of his well. Still not got it cleared, and once again he's got the outside line for this next corner. He might just have the corner covered off. Very deep on the brakes there, and Delmont did everything he could there to avoid his rival. And oh well, he's done well to avoid him there, because he's just given away about 5 seconds, and he will not be worrying Ronald Means for the next few corners. And there goes Adam McNally as well past him.
Yeah, absolutely. The best placed driver at the moment for a XI Energy iRacing team at the moment is Ashley Beard in P17, who's doing a pretty good job at the moment for the team. So, yeah, still a long way to go, but Beard is doing a good job at the moment, and I think, I think he started a couple of weeks ago in the league, Sam, I think, or a couple of rounds ago.
Issue for Michael Tyancic, sorry, Ryan. But yeah, Tyancic drops from the lead down into 4th place. Was that tactical, perhaps, or is that a slowdown? Well, he's serving that slowdown very late, if it is a slowdown. I don't know. I mean, yeah, can't diagnose that one. could be tactical because he wasn't pulling away from the other drivers. And maybe Brandon was thinking, well, you know what, I'm behind this guy now. I'll just stick in his slipstream, save a bit of fuel, and Taliancic was having none of that. You can see he's straight away back up to speed, at least. So I was saying earlier on, oh, it's not going to be a strategy race, it's an easy two-stop. I think I was probably wrong, because these drivers all seem to just be trying to position their cars in the perfect spot. This is lap 14. We were told that the drivers were meant to pit every 17 laps in this race. And so, well, even a fantastic mathematician can work out we are quite close to the pit stop window when everything should kick off. Tony Klusman, by the way, haven't talked too much about him today, apart from how much he hates this circuit. He really does hate this circuit, by the way. And he is 2 seconds behind this leading 4, and on that last lap, about matched them, to be fair. So it's not making too much of an impact, but I'm sure this race is going far better for the season 1 and 2 champion than maybe he thought it would be going at this point in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Tony Klusterman is one of those people that, yeah, he's always. He might not always be the quickest driver on the grid, but he's always there and thereabouts in the top 10, delivering good results. And I was watching him. I think it was earlier this season or last season at the Nürburgring GP layout. Where he had a fantastic race and managed to hold off. I think Nicole Foggy was one of the drivers, and he just put in such a fantastic defensive drive and managed to take the win. And I thought that was one of Tony's best races.
That was a terrific race, certainly my favourite race of last season. This is turning into a good race as well for Nicole Foggy. He's taken the lead for the second time in this race. Last time he lost it almost immediately. This time he has hung on to it. And maybe who knows what's going on, to be honest, because they all seem to be no one seems to want the lead at the moment, and that they're all just waiting for one another. Foggy, they at the head of this train. Expect the others though to stick in the slipstream, and they should be all very close to one another going into the pits. Has slowed down this whole 4 though, and it's meant that Tony Policeman has got yet another second place, and you can see he's almost in slipstream range now. Remember, we've got Nicole Foggy and Johnny Brandon, XVR Sim Racing. Then we've got TechSense Bitstyle Motorsports for George McClay in 3rd. And then it's Pursuit Sim Racing in 4th place, Michael Taliancic. And then it's Never Quit Racing for Tony Klusman and Chris Jackson. So a lot of different teams being represented. And so apart from Foggy and Brandon, no one else can really work as a couple to further their efforts. And so, yeah, it's pretty much all for everyone currently. Hal Stadler, by the way, has got up into 12th position. Started in 25th place after not setting a qualifying lap, but has been very impressive since then. Chris Jackson, who looks... I mean, I was saying, you know, Jackson can win this race. I mean, he probably could still, if something happened to the drivers up ahead. But he's really struggling, seemingly. Got overtaken by his teammate Tony Klusman, and now he's going to get overtaken by Gary Croft as well, who, remember, is a club driver in this series. So, strange one, this for Jackson, why he's all of a sudden lost so much pace.
Yeah, it might just be. I guess he could be just backing off a little bit, looking after the tyres and saving some fuel. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's not like him to be dropping off in this race because normally he's been really quick this season from the times I've watched him. But yeah, he's still in P6 at the moment, and he's still doing a good job.
Yeah, certainly there or thereabouts. So remember, he's only 7 seconds off the lead. So it's not... I'm maybe being a little bit apocalyptic about Chris Jackson right now. But, you know, just a couple of spins up ahead, maybe a quick pit stop, and he will certainly be back in the running. At the moment, yeah, so yeah, he's just ahead of Gary Croft, and then it's one Mattiv, who's a little bit lonely in 8th place, but driving an awesome debut race. Hopefully we'll have a chat with him later on. Always do, yeah, love a chat with all the drivers, and usually, certainly there's a few drivers who always have a chat with us in this series, no matter how bad the race goes for them. Tony Klusman's into the pits. He's one of the drivers who usually has a chat with us. And here he is for Never Quit Racing. and also Gary Croft as well, another Never Quit Racing driver, into the pits. Difficult pit entry here. And also, Ryan, I don't know about you, but I always struggle to get stopped for my pit box here because I'm so used to running at 60 miles an hour down the pit lane. The fact that it's 80, I believe, round here, you got to brake quite significantly earlier than you usually do.
Yeah, I think Daytona, because you're going so quickly before the pit entry, it's so hard to get the car slowed down, and if you lock up and they brake too late for the pit entry line, to put the pit lane speed limiter on, it normally results in a stop go penalty or a drive through penalty.
Yeah, you really don't want to pick up one. Then there's Victor Tanaka, and well, I think Tanaka's going to lead at some point in this race. You can see he's a long way ahead of Tony Klusterman. Remember, Tanaka had damage at the start of this race and might have to do an extra pit stop. Not quite sure. He certainly hasn't been fuel saving. He's been absolutely bombing it round this circuit ever since then. Did have a very quick pit stop though in comparison to the others. 19 seconds compared to Tony Klusterman. They're 31 seconds. But Tanaka, yeah, I think he will lead once everyone else has pitted. So, you know, it may not turn out to be a race victory for him. Maybe, if anything, just points out how competitive he could have been in this race if it weren't for that odd incident he had with the wall earlier on when joining the oval section. So Taliancic has absolutely nailed the fuel. He's got fuel in his pocket, seemingly, and he has disposed of it. No, something. He's put it in the fuel tank, basically. And he's in the lead now because he's managed to do one extra lap on fuel than everyone else. We've got Foggy, Brandon, McClay, Jackson, Mative, Warmingham, O'Connor, pretty much everyone into the pits. Also, Howard Stadler and Anthony Woodward also got a very good fuel consumption, and they're staying out. Now, who's going to be the head of the train of cars who were fighting for the lead earlier on? Is it going to be Brandon or Foggy? It should be one of those guys, and I think it is Brandon, just ahead as they come down pit road as we speak. He's ahead of Foggy. Tanaka's got ahead of all of them, as I suspected, with his very early pit stop earlier on in the race. So, yeah, so now, out of that leading bunch, out of the drivers who pitted, at least, it's Brandon, and then McClay. Klosterman's got... Oh, so Foggy's had a poor pit stop. Nicole Foggy's had a very poor pit stop out there, and he's dropped about 15 seconds in his pit stall time. So the driver who was running in the lead, remember, and Nicole Foggy, maybe it's absolutely ruined that pit entry. He might have to check out his pit entry earlier on. But that's a big blow and an unusual mistake there from Nicole Foggy. We saw one at that corner or in turn 2 earlier on, Ryan. And that's the second big mistake that Nicole Foggy has committed today.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if Foggy might have possibly got a pit lane speeding penalty, possibly. So he might have I think that might have been with the extra 15 seconds, might have been. But yeah, if yeah, I could be wrong, but that's just my guess.
Yeah, I think 50. I think you're probably right, Ryan, because yeah, it is 15 seconds, and he was 15 seconds, or maybe just under 15 seconds, maybe 13 seconds slower than everyone else. But I mean, with the pace that Brandon was going earlier on, I think Foggy should be able to catch up to those guys. But undoubtedly, it's not what he would have planned for this race. Michael Taliancic then into the pits, managed to do one extra lap. I don't think it's going to yield him the race lead unless he's absolutely sublime in his pit lane. He's already taken as long as his opponents did. It's turning into a little bit of a longer pit stop. 34 seconds for Taliancic, so not bad. Victor Tanaka
Ooh.
takes the lead of the race for the first time. I think we've now had 4 different race leaders so far in this race, which is pretty cool. As Taliancic comes out of the pits, you know what? He might be ahead of the other drivers. This is going to be really close for him. He's coming out of the pits. There's Klusterman, there is Brandon, and there is McClay. Taliancic, who gained the lead at this corner earlier on. Well, you know what? He's super unlucky, and he's going to lose 3 places. And, oh, that is horrendous for Michael Taliancic there, because it was looking really strong for him. But he's down in fifth position now. So just a bit of a rundown, because I'm confused by what's happened in the past couple of laps. So, Tanaka, he hit the wall earlier on, came into the pits, had a short pit stop. He's now leading this race. Tony Klosterman, I don't know how, but he's in second position now. Had a slightly quicker pit stop than his rivals. I think just had a really good in-lap, closed the gap to the front four drivers. And despite pretty much being kind of best of the rest for this entire race, a quick pit stop has put him in second place and effectively the race lead. Johnny Brandon, the former race leader, the pole sitter, remember, is sitting in third. George McClay is in fourth. Michael Talianchich, who nearly jumps all these guys in the pits, is in fifth. And Nicole Foggy, after picking up a speeding penalty, we believe, is running in sixth place. So, I mean, this plot just continues to thicken, Ryan. This is a fascinating first, 35 minutes of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Just regarding Tony Klosterman and his pit stop, I wonder if Tony took. He probably did take the tires, but I wonder if Tony, by any chance, possibly might have just underfueled a little bit just to try and gain some track position.
I think that could be a very good shout. Because yeah, you're absolutely right. He was 1.5 seconds faster in the pit stall than Brandon and McClay. Surprisingly, that was the difference though. He pitted on the same lap as those guys, remember, and he really must have had an awesome in lap because he was a few seconds behind those guys, but nailed the pit entry. And yeah, well done to Tony Klosterman, the Canadian, the most successful driver in this series, of course. And I repeat it again, he doesn't like this circuit, but doesn't matter if you like them or not, as long as you're winning. That's probably what he cares about. And you can see he's holding off Johnny Branton quite comfortably at the moment. Worth keeping an eye out on Nicole Foggy's times over the next few laps, and also Victor Tanaka's times as well. Foggy, of course, with that speeding penalty quite far away on that last lap. He didn't make up any time on that group of cars ahead of him.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're just looking at Nicole Foggy at the moment, and yeah, that was unfortunate for Foggy during his pit stop. I mean, he could have been right up there battling for the lead, but yeah, there's still a long way to go, and he's not that. Thinking about it, he's not that far back from this park in front of him. So, yeah, I think he could catch back up to them in this the second phase of pit stops. What will be happening at some stage in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I imagine around the hour mark, it's going to be a two-stop strategy. So I was right on one thing at least. So yeah, seemingly a two-stop strategy for these drivers, but at the same time, you do want to be able to go maybe an extra lap of fuel at each of these pits. Let's get a bit of clean air. You know, you'll be on low fuel whilst your rivals will be on high fuel, and around these tracks with long straights. I mean, low fuel compared to high fuel can get you quarters of a second just down one of these long straights at Daytona. So really is important that maybe you get that overcuts on your rivals. Juan Matsev dropped behind Richard Warmingham during that pit stop phase. So he's back down into 10th position now. That's kind of the battle for best of the rest, I'd say, between Warmingham, Matsev, and Carr. 9th, 10th, and 11th, and expect Hal Stadler to be involved in that one as well. By the end of the race, he's still a little bit detached, but has got nearly as good pace as the race leaders currently. At the moment, this four drivers, Usman, Brandon, McClay, and Talianchich, all kind of just holding their ground at the moment. They don't want to. They're kind of just waiting for maybe the pit stops later on. But seemingly none of them in too much of a rush. They just want to stay in the slipstream of one another. And it's fantastic to see so many of these drivers evenly matched, Ryan. And considering that they're from different teams, it's quite remarkable how evenly matched they are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing I've always liked about this series as well. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are throughout the field or wherever you watch throughout the field. The pace always seems to be really close between these guys, and I think that's what attracts people to this series. Is no matter where you are through the field, but it doesn't matter if you're slow or average or quick. Yeah, there's always someone throughout the field to have a race with.
Yeah, definitely, and certainly one of the most friendly communities we've ever broadcasted here on Apex Racing TV. Always the top guys willing to give tutorials. I think there's a proper driver school actually being set up by some of the leading drivers, including Tony Kliesman and Johnny Branton, I believe, are two of the leading drivers of that driving school, and they kind of really tries to help many of the drivers further down the field to improve on their pace, and you don't see that too often in leagues, safe to say. So it's absolutely fantastic that that is happening. Michael Mueller making a move on Clyde Whiting. Whiting, of course, a club driver. Ashley Beard also in the pits. That's quite a late pit stop.
Yeah,
I've got something on my screen saying that he's in the pits, but he's clearly not.
almost. Oh, he's going to hit the
Oh
wall.
right,
Yep.
okay, this is the replay.
Yeah, just I think he just got just he just put too much power down and just got sideways and tried to save it, and unfortunately, just no, he was just a passenger and hit the wall, the inside wall, in the exit of turn one.
Hopefully, we'll see him back out on track. Hopefully, he hasn't used that fast repair. Of course, quite an interesting tactical use, that fast repair. I'll chat about that in a second, because George McClay is quite close to the back of Johnny Brandon, but seemingly no move. But yeah, of course, with this fast repair, quite difficult to decide when you take it, because if you pick up a little bit of minor damage in the first half an hour, of course, you might think, oh, I'll take the fast repair right now at my first pit stop, get that damage fixed, and I'll be really fast at the end of the race. Of course, then if you absolutely wreck the car, you pick up some more damage, you haven't got any more fast repairs. So some drivers will take it immediately. Those are probably the more optimistic drivers. And the more pessimistic drivers who maybe don't have quite as much faith in their driving might leave it till their last pit stop before using that fast repair. Or maybe not use it at all. Maybe use it in case they do have a big wreck later on in the event. So yeah, always difficult to call that one. Difficult to tell whether these drivers have taken that fast repair or not. Their cars are all looking very clean, but they're all driven very clean up to this point in the race. Remember, Victor Tanaka still the race leader out here. He pitted very early in this event and had a very quick pit stop. We expect him to be coming into the pits quite soon. He pitted on lap 9, and these drivers should be able to go 17 laps on fuel, so he should be pitting on lap 26, which is coming up quite soon. Michael Mueller seemingly with an issue down into turn 1, and fortunately, I didn't see the end of that. Oh well, he's just gone back to the pit, so Michael not best pleased out there, seemingly.
Yeah, it might have been. He might have had technical issues. It didn't look anything. It didn't look like anything major or anything. Might have had some technical issues like wheel pedal problems or wheel problems, or if he's on VR, it might have just. I know of some people that have had VR problems just with it cutting out sometimes. So if he's on VR, that might have just happened.
Hopefully, he'll be back out on circuit. But yeah, I certainly remember when Tony Kliesman, his VR headset lost sound around Tsukuba last season when he was in the race lead. Managed to hang on to that race lead. It was a pretty impressive race victory. I only found out about it after the race. Maybe should go mute more often. Tony might help him to win this race perhaps, because he's in a very good position. I will thank everyone who's tuned in so far today for this broadcast. About 17 people watching. I always think this show should get way more viewers, and it undoubtedly should do, because this is one of the best races that I can recall in recent memory, and we're only halfway through it. Only half the action, maybe not even half the action, has been encountered so far in this event. And so certainly, share this video with your friends and family. Let them in on the action, because I mean, this is absolutely awesome at the moment. Pick a winner out of these guys, and I imagine you'd probably be wrong, because very difficult to tell what these guys' true pace is like. And of course, also tomorrow we'll be broadcasting the Apex Racing League British GT Championship. Me and Ryan will once again be on that one with Marco Barbino on the cameras, and that'll be the opening round of that. And of course, if you do still feel like driving in the GT3 or Porsche Cup car around that circuit, check out our Facebook page, Apex Racing TV, and on the pinned post there, you can see all the registration details for that. So far, got about 60 entries, so should be a bumper field and a guaranteed fantastic broadcast for that one. So yeah, we are now. Are we halfway through this race? Oh, we're nearly halfway through this race, very nearly. And Ryan, usually halfway through a race, you can call who's going to win. I mean, I certainly can't call who's going to win. Do you have a feeling about anyone maybe out there who's just maybe got the legs on everyone else?
At this stage of the race, probably if I was to predict a winner at this stage of the race, I would probably have to go for on strategy. Yeah, on strategy, I would have to go for. Yeah, I would have to say Tony Klusterman.
Potentially a very good shout. That Klusman, he's effectively the race leader at the moment. Here is one Mativ, and this is certainly not commentator's curse. I was applauding him much earlier on in the race. Certainly no commentator curse up to the standards of Mr. Marco Barber, but there is Mativ, and he's dropped a couple of places behind Carr, and he was on the tail of Warmingham as well. He's about 5 seconds behind Carr though now, and about 8 seconds off Warmingham. So as Warmingham just has a little bit of a poor corner, by the way, just ahead. Yeah, just lost 2 seconds there, did Richard Warmingham. So maybe picking up a slowdown or something, but I'll go straight there for him, seemingly. As so what lap are we on? So we're on lap 25. So yeah, Tanaka should be in imminently. And how far? Well, we're halfway through this race. So Tanaka is going to have to make an extra pit stop on everyone else. So lap times haven't been particularly strong recently. That could well be due to the fact that he's got some older tyres than his rivals. But the gap between the two leaders now, Tanaka and Klusman, is under 2 seconds. And Klusman is about a second a lap faster than the current race leader. And this could be a little bit awkward for Klusman because he doesn't want to have to overtake Tanaka. Tanaka's not in this race. He's got to make an extra pit stop than these guys. And yet I think Klusman's going to have to make the move on circuit. However, I've just remembered by the colour of their liveries, they are teammates. And so, Ryan, maybe some team games could be played here. Maybe Tanaka lets Klusman past easily and then puts up a bit of a fight to Brandon and McClay. I mean, would be a legitimate tactic. Maybe a little bit devious, but I mean, yeah. Do you think maybe Tanaka could deploy that? Do you think do you think Never Quit Racing would have thought of that tactic?
I think with Tanaka not being in, Tanaka really not being in with a chance of winning this race, I think if Tony Katz is right up to him, I think it might be wise for both of them to kind of talk. If they're on Discord together, it might be wise of them to maybe talk about letting Tony through, not like straight away, but if Tony Katz is right up to the back of Victor, then just try and let him go in a safe place without losing too much time.
He's now only half a second behind. Now is Tanaka's quite slow on the entry to turn 1. Oh, and he's going to spin the car. Surely he's not going to take out his teammate.
Oh, well held.
Goes wide, and it's not helped. Well, that is some good letting pass to his teammate, I think. As Tanaka, can Brandon get past the move? No. By the way, that comment, good letting pass to his teammate. I was being facetious, of course. I mean, if he did, I mean, he should win the race due to that slide. It was very impressive. And now, so Klusman loses almost no time, and here is Tanaka then, holding up the rest of the drivers. And, I mean, this is a 90-minute race, so a couple of seconds lost here and there probably isn't going to decide the event, but they can't hurt. So, Tanaka holding up Brandon a little bit. Also got a bit more traffic as well. This time not for position for Klusman to deal with. And now we'll head into the bus stop. Remember, by my calculations, Tanaka should be in on this lap unless he's been major fuel saving out here. So, well, actually, no, to be fair there, Tanaka letting past his rivals, and that is very honest of him. Isn't going to let Taliancic pass though. Didn't quite lift off enough seemingly going into the bus stop. But actually, at the end of all of that, I was really scheming and stuff and Never Quit Racing. It's made no difference. Still 1 second between the top two drivers. Tanaka now behind McClay and will probably come into the pits, I imagine. Yes, he is into the pits. So Victor Tanaka, this will be a quick pit stop for him, and he might yet take the lead later on in the race. But for now, he's going to drop quite far behind.
Yeah, just watching the Johnny Brandon in second place, just walked up a little bit into turn one, and I thought he was going to run wide, but he manages to keep on track, and he's also managing to close the gap down quickly on Tony Klusterman.
Yeah, Brandon maybe with a little bit more pace up his sleeve. It's so difficult to know because personally, based by the qualifying times, I really didn't expect Klisterman to be this strong today. But despite that, he's in the lead of the race. I believe we've now had 5 different leaders of this race, which considering that it's no reverse grids, nothing like that. I mean, that's just been. I mean, to be fair, Tanaka shouldn't have taken the lead. That wasn't a proper race lead. But apart from that, we've had 4 different legit leaders of this race so far. Of course, Nicole Foggy, still in 5th position. He is catching these guys. You can see when we just changed cameras there, we didn't go to a different part of the circuit. We were just 5.5 seconds behind. Also, Gary Croft as well, doing very well. Only 2.8 seconds behind Croft. Really hope we have a chat with Gary later on. We don't usually have a chat with Gary, but I think when he's done well in the past, we've had a chat with him because he is doing absolutely awesome at the moment in Evercoat Racing in his Ford car. Remember, he is a club driver. He's not got a top 5 ever in this series, I think, this guy. Certainly not last season, and so he might lose his club status for next season if he does get a top 5 out here. I'm sure, regardless, he'll be trying to do whatever he can to finish as high up as he can. As we've got a nice battle brewing, actually, between Greg Carr, Juan Mativ, and Hal Stedler. All these guys with a slightly different race. Carr's been Mr. Consistent so far in this event. Just been, staying in that top 10 throughout. Mativ has been very quick, but had a spin earlier on, and Stadler just behind these drivers started from 25th position after not setting a qualifying lap. So all different narratives to their events. Also, Lane O'Connor only 2 seconds behind. You can just see him in the background there. And, well, would you say with... Oh, well, now here comes Car around the outsides, making a mistake. Should have the better line for this next section. I was just about to ask, Ryan, is there a corner that you think is the best overtaking spot on this circuit, or is there a main overtaking chance around this track?
I'd probably say the best place you might have a chance of passing around here is maybe if you can get a good run in the exit of the bus stop, you might be able to get a run on someone heading down to turn one, and you might be able to make a move into that corner, or you might be able to make a move on the infield section as well, depending on the car in front of you. If they defend the inside or go to the outside, it's kind of. But in my opinion, around this track, turn one is the best place to try and make a move.
Well, he's going to try to make the move regardless into the bus stop here around the outside. Too wide through the bus stop. Doesn't usually work, and it's not worked this time either. Sliding round and into the wall goes Greg Carr. And they did a good job through the first half of the bus stop, and just a little bit of contact in the second part. And, well, that's disappointing because they were showing respect to one another, and it was just a slight mistake there. Does allow Harold Stadler to move up 2 more positions. He's now up 16 places from his starting place. Also, this allows Lane O'Connor to get ahead of Juan Mativ. Mativ was the one who triggered that contact. O'Connor with a bit of a slide there, and almost went into the back of Harold Stadler just in front of him. But yeah, we did have a 3-way battle, and we've still got a 3-way battle, to be fair, for this 9th position. But expect Stadler to start pulling away, and he might have a chance of catching up to Richard Warringham later on in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, Harold Stadler's having a good race at the moment after starting towards the back of the field after not qualifying. he's managing to slowly get through the field, and he's up into the top 10. And I think if he keeps his nose clean and yeah, if he gets it right or gets his second pit stop spot on, he might be able to get a couple of more positions through the pit stop. So yeah, Harrow's definitely one to keep an eye on in the later stages of this race.
When you look how strong the likes of Taliancic and Croft have been, you do wonder if Halstetter hadn't have had those issues, if he had taken qualifying, maybe he'd be fighting for the race win right now. But well, ifs and buts. Certainly, his pace has been decent, but maybe not the same pace as the
Ooh.
leaders, as we're going to see another instant
Oh,
here
contact.
for Mattiv at the bus stop. And, well, he's trying not to make contact once again. O'Connor spins round, gets back onto circuit, and ironically, well, actually, no, too far behind is Greg Carr because he picked up damage. And Mattiv, you're not going to find the circuit by going that way. I've tried that before, and I've got lost several times around this place. But there's no escape road actually to the apron. Unfortunately, Juan Matthew in his first ever race in this race has towed back to the pits, and that's disappointing because you know, hopefully he doesn't get a bad reputation or whatever, despite those two incidents, because neither of them were malicious by any means. The first one, he actually gave his rival a lot of space through the track, just a slight contact, and then the second one, just an innocent mistake pretty much by himself. So I hope they will see him back in future rounds of the championship. Nikolai Bogotayev, he's really benefited from all of this. He's up into 10th place. I don't think he's actually made an overtake. Maybe just got an overtake done on Steve Labelli just now. But he's been, Bogotayev, one of the most reliable drivers out on circuits. And yeah, up into the top 10 once again. Yeah, and he's 7 seconds behind Stadler.
Yeah, absolutely. Just watching this battle between Bogotayev and Steve Lavalli. Yeah, fantastic racing between these two guys at the moment, and yeah, I think just looking back up at the front as well, it's still close at the front in this battle for the lead between Clustom and Brandon and McClay, I think. So yeah, I have to say so far, Sam, for my first time commentating on the series, it's been a joy to watch.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the race of the season this, and the race of the past couple of seasons. Like you said earlier on, Nürburgring last season, race 2 of that was very good, and also some other pretty good races over time. Certainly, yeah, Suzuka, I remember that endurance race was very good. Daytona a couple of seasons, or 3 seasons ago, around this track. Belle Isle in season 6. All very good races. But this is right up there because you still don't know who's going to win. Top 4, very close to one another, but Nicole Foggy only 4.5 seconds behind these guys, gradually closing the gap. He was 1.5 seconds faster on that last lap, but he seems to struggle to really, take chunks out of these guys' gaps lap after lap. And of course, what Foggy will be hoping for is that he's close enough when it comes to the pit stops to take advantage of any long stops. So the drives ahead, as here comes Michael Taliancic. Down the inside, he moves up into 3rd position. Taliancic there, maybe with a bit of a dummy, not quite sure. McClay came across him to take his normal racing line. Taliancic, though, up into 3rd position. And Ryan, so far in this second stint, they've just been holding their line, that they haven't been going for any moves, and finally a bit of aggressive driving there from Michael Taliancic, and it's worked very well for him. He's up into the podium places.
Yeah, I have to say if it was a dummy from Taliancic, I have to say it was a great dummy as Nicole Foggy dives into the pits for the last of his 2 pit stops.
He's just about within the pit window, so he's going to go for the mega undercut here. We'll take some fresh tyres, and we'll be very quick. And I think that's probably a good tactic from him. I remember Nürburgring actually last season where he took some tyres very early on in the race. I think that was due to him picking up some damage, to be fair. But it certainly brought him into contention. And the issues for him is that he might come out in a bit of traffic and won't be able to utilise those fresh tyres in the next few laps. And apparently Tanaka is flying. I haven't actually kept an eye on Tanaka's lap times. Yeah, he is very quick. Of course, does have to make an extra pit stop. I do put in that caveat into the mix. but he is definitely very quick. And will he be ahead of Foggy? Foggy is coming out of the pits. No, Foggy's ahead. So Tanaka with a 35-second pit stop, Foggy with a 30-second pit stop, and Tanaka will be just behind. In fact, actually, he's a distant margin behind. He's 4 seconds behind. And so I guess the question is now, do any of the top 4 react to that? Tony Klusman's in the middle of a rock and a hard place at the moment, because he could pit and cover off Foggy, but then he'll be susceptible to the overcut from Brandon, or he could stay out, keep Brandon behind him, but be susceptible to the undercut from Foggy. So what do you do for the Canadian? Well, he's going to stick by his own strategy. He's going to stay out. Taliancic, surprisingly, into the pits, the first of those drivers to come into the pits. He went 1 lap further in his first stint, but he's coming in seemingly 1 or 2 laps earlier in his second stint. This is going to be a quick pit stop, though, for him. Remember, he did go 1 lap further, like I said, in that first stint, so he should have to take on less fuel. And the important thing is going to be, how long that pit stop is. Is it going to be, if it's less than 30 seconds, I mean, he should have the race lead when all is said and done, because he's been fuel saving for this entire stint. Currently up to 20 seconds. Should stay ahead of Nicole Foggy and Victor Tanaka, unless he's misjudged his pit entry. Steve Lavelli also into the pits, and Michael Taliancic a 27-second pit stop. That is 5 seconds faster than any pit stop we've seen so far in this race. And as long as he negotiates the pit exit, well, he's just about got away with that, I think, right? Almost hit the wall. And, I mean, that would have been anticlimactic, as almost spins again. He's struggling maybe with those cold tyres. He's just ahead of Nikolai Bogotayev. But I think, Ryan, that short pit stop, that could well put him into the lead of the race in just a couple of minutes' time.
Yeah, I was going to say a 27-second pit stop. I think I could, depending on how long the pit stops are for the likes of Klusterman, Brandon, McClay, and Klusterman, Brandon, and McClay, I think he could inherit this lead. And so, but I think it's going to be close with Klusterman, Brandon, and McClay as well. So yeah, it might be worth keeping an eye on the pit stop time for those top 3 guys at the front.
Tony Kleesterman is coming into the pits. Brandon is coming into the pits. McClay is coming into the pits. Kleesterman certainly got stopped on the marks last time. It was his pit stop, his first pit stop, that got him the lead. He did take quite little fuel though, so he might have to take a bit more fuel here. It's difficult to tell. We'll just have to wait and see, to be honest, because well, I'm pretty sure whatever I've said in this race in terms of predictions has probably turned out to be wrong. Here's Nicole Foggy right in the depths of the traffic, and he really wanted to undercut those drivers, and right now he's getting held up by his own teammate, number 65 there. I think that might be Lane O'Connor. Yes, it is. So then, who's going to be top? Taliancic has already pitted. Brandon was second out of the drivers who just came into the pits just now. Taliancic is crossing the line currently. Brandon is still in the pit lane, and Michael Taliancic is going to take the lead of this race. You can see the other drivers haven't even got out of the pits yet. Taliancic, with half an hour of this race to go, has put himself into the perfect position. There's Brandon. He's miles behind. You know what? Brandon's had an awful pit stop there. I think he's maybe got a speeding penalty. We'll try to investigate that one. But the XVR drivers, who were undoubtedly the favourites going into this race, both picking up seemingly a penalty when entering the pits, and they sit now in 8th and 3rd positions, because Foggy has had a good pit stop, and he's ahead of Tony Kloosterman now. Here is Foggy, and he's trying to get past George McClay now for 2nd place.
Yeah, I was about to say as well, George McClay managed to jump Brandon and Klusterman in the stops as well and get up into 2nd place. So yeah, a good stop from George.
Yeah, that's good spot, Ryan. That's a really good pit stop for George McClay. But now he's got hold of Nicole Foggy, and whilst this is happening, it's just going to help Michael Taliancic out in the lead. Here comes Foggy then. He's got really good straight line speed on the outside there, hasn't he? And, well, you know what, McClay, I think, just lifting out there, letting his rival go, and maybe thinking, well, let's work together. We'll try to catch up to Taliancic later on in the race. But Taliancic, after fuel saving magnificently so far in this race, has got a 7.5 second lead. And with the pace that he's shown so far today, remember, he's the driver with the fastest lap of the race so far, oh sorry, the second fastest lap of the race so far, he should be able to hang on to this one. But here's the chasing cavalry, Foggy, McClay, and Klosterman, with Brandon very much detached from this battle now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say as well, the yeah, I was just thinking about the leader as well with that pit stop. I think he might be a little bit tight on fuel though, so it'll be interesting to see if he can make it on fuel with it being a 27-second pit stop.
I mean, I remember Michael Taliancic last season in the season opener at Silverstone. He tried to do the feature race with no pit stop, and it very nearly worked for him. And that's a tactic really not used by any drivers. But it was a low fuel consumption circuit. He tried it, and I think he was a couple of laps away from winning that race potentially. It was Michael Taliancic. So if he does have to save fuel, he's very good at doing so. And he's got a big margin. He's certainly not saying fuel at the moment, but he's matching these three drivers' times as it stands. So Anthony Woodward, he's gone a long way on fuel. He did 18 laps the first time. Oh, this is a second 18 lap stint, so he hasn't done anything mega spectacular, Anthony Woodward, but credit to him for staying up there for quite so long, and he should be in on this lap. Oh, so yeah, I got very confused. I thought that was the pit straight. Instead, it was the wrong. If he went to the left there, safe to say that would not have ended well for him. But yeah, he's one of the last drivers yet to pit.
Yeah, absolutely. Good job. It's been a good job from Anthony so far. He's had a quiet race, I have to say. He's not been caught up in any incidents, as far as I'm aware, as he dives into the pits. But yeah, he's having a good quiet run at the moment so far. And yeah, if he finishes in the top 10, I think that will be a good result for him.
I think he'll be around Lavelli and Bogatai, or maybe just a little bit behind those guys. Well, we'll wait and see. See where he comes out. Here's Johnny Brandon then. Well, he will be annoyed, to say the least. I don't know, Sam, if we could go back to his pit stop a couple of laps to go, just see if he did overshoot his entry. That's the only thing I can imagine it was, because why he'd feel the need to take 10 extra seconds of fuel at this point in the race would boggle my mind, because yes, it should be a sprint to the end of the race. There is Brandon, and on that last lap he closed in on McClay by 2 seconds. So he is racing along, trying to at least take away a podium in this race, as we are going to check out what happened to Johnny Brandon, see if he did go a little bit too fast here on pit entry. I personally thought that was okay.
Yeah, I wonder if he overshot his pit box.
Seems to be okay there. Strange.
That's a bit of a, I'm not sure what happened there.
We usually chat with Johnny after the race, and I'm sure if we chat with either Nicole or Johnny, they'll let us know what happened to their respective pit stops after the race. We should have a chat with at least one of them. Johnny Branson with the fastest lap of the race now, 43.85. That smashes the fastest lap of the race. I think that's 3/10 faster than the previous fastest lap, and he's catching up to Victor Tanaka. Tanaka's yet to make his, well, sorry, he has to make a third pit stop. So he might get the fastest lap of the race later on, because he's going to have some very nice fresh tyres on that Holden at the end of the race. They are 4 seconds behind Klosterman, and this really isn't what Brandon needs. It's to get past his rival straight away to set his sights on McClay and Klosterman, because on that last lap he was over 1 second faster than everyone ahead of him. He's very quick. Maybe he took tyres and the others didn't. That could be. But then Taliancic took tyres. I saw that. I'm confused. But there you go. Brandon trying to get past Tanaka every which way he would go. He'll dip right into the slipstream. coming out of turn 2 then, NASCAR turn 2. To the outside, Tanaka doesn't want to give it up. And considering that this is a battle which doesn't really affect him, he feels like having a nice battle. I don't think he's going to lose too much time taking part in this. I don't think he's going to lose any positions. Will he be in on this lap, Tanaka? There's the possibility he might be able to stay up for an extra few laps from here. So Brandon really does have to get this done very, very quickly.
Yeah, yeah. I thought Tanaka was staying low because I thought he was pitting, but nope, he's not pitting this lap. And yeah, he doesn't really put up much of a fight against Brandon on the home straight. He just decides to let him go.
Well, that
Was
last
it?
lap from Johnny Brennan was 2 seconds slower than his purple lap, so that's basically 2 seconds lost by having to pass his rival, and he'd be significantly closer to the drivers ahead if it weren't for that.
Yeah, I have to say as well. Looking back up at the front as well. I'm trying. It's difficult for me, but yeah, trying to predict the driver of the race. I'm not sure who to pick. Who would you go for, Sam?
I mean, I'd have to go for Michael Taliancic, I think, at the moment, because I mean he's been a dark horse in this race, and he's fuel saved superbly, seemingly, but also yeah, really good pace as well. He's matching Nicole Foggy's times. And you think Foggy's probably absolutely giving it everything. Taliancic might well just be relaxing at this point in the race, or not relaxing necessarily, but just turning it down from 90% to 60% just to make sure he gets the car home. Cannot remember the last time that Taliancic won a race. I'm not sure if I've ever commentated on a race that Taliancic has won, despite him being in the series for a long time. Of course, like I said earlier, the Season 3 champion. We have got, 4 champions in the top 5 at the moment. Little statistic for you there. Glusman, of course, the Season 1 and Season 2 champion. Taliancic, Season 3. There was Michael Evdoka in Season 4, unfortunately not racing in this series at the moment. And then Brandon, Season 5, and Foggy in Season 6. And Victor Tanaka's always been there or thereabouts, so too George McClay over the years. Brandon
Oh,
with
Brandon
a
sideways.
slide, and that's going to lose him a lot of time. And oh dear, Johnny Brandon loses that place to Victor Tanaka. He was pushing hard, and look at Guy Croft now only just behind him. And Brandon there, and one of the issues as well, of course, he's going to overheat his tyres there, right?
Yeah, I was going to say. I think. Yeah, Johnny Brandon. I think it's just getting a little bit frustrated there, and just ended up making a mistake into turn one, just through frustration after his pit stop. But yeah, he's managed to keep it on the track, and he's still going in P6 at the moment. But I think this is a race of for Johnny Brandon of what could have been. But yeah, it's not all bad for the XVR sim racing guys. I mean, Nicole Foggy's still up at the front in second place, doing a good job for the team. So it's still more points for the team at the end of the day.
Yes, and XVR won the championship last 2 seasons, I believe, and should have really won it under Bodak the season before, but some instance near the end of the season, I think, just denied that them winning that season. McClay a little bit detached now from Foggy, and he's just keeping Klusman behind. Will be fascinating to have a chat with Tony later on, just to see how he really felt about this race, because I really was writing him off. Usually so strong in qualifying, but he wasn't particularly strong in qualifying today. But you can see, trying to go for a podium right now, to the outside on lap 41 of this 90-minute race. McClay will hold it down the inside. Klusman sticking it around the outside, and he's going to spin the car, and into the wall goes Tony Klusman. And he's going to have to try to get that car back the right way. Unfortunately for him, there's oncoming traffic. And Klusman, who was driving so well, with a self-mistake there, trying to go for the move on George McClay. And he's blown the engine as well. Or has he? Maybe just a bit of tyre smoke, apologies. And he's down into 6th position. He allows Brandon and Tanaka pass. So at least Tanaka should pit, but Tony Klusman, he'd driven so well up to that point, Ryan, hadn't put a foot wrong. And now he's got some quite big damage on that car.
Yeah, I was about to say as well. I was about to say it. Tony Klusman is my driver of the race, but yeah, it looks like I've put the commentator's curse on Tony. So yeah, if Tony wants to come to the commentary box and slap me senseless, you're more than welcome to.
I mean, you couldn't be a Marco Barbier substitute if you didn't commentate someone today, after all. So, unfortunately, that means that for the lead battles, it's mainly calmed down. Also got Jackson versus Croft, though. They are teammates, though. So I expect them not to come together. We've actually got an NQR 5678. And that isn't the start to a song. Wait, what song is that?
Oh, you're thinking of that band, was it Steps?
Steps. There you go. I mean, oh, that song's going to be in my head. And hopefully it's in all your viewers' heads as well. Great song, though. Obviously, great band.
I'm saying nothing.
I mean, I think I was about 2 when they were in their heyday. Oh, dear, I can't get it out of my head now. Klisterman is into the pits. And it's not a 5, 6, 7, 8. Or however that song goes. He's gonna have to find some other lyrics now because he's gonna drop at least to 8th place. Does he have the fast repair available? That's the big question. Yes, he does, because
Yeah,
that car miraculously repairs in an instant and gets back on his way. And after fighting for 3rd position, he's gonna do well now to finish any higher than 10th. He's in 10th place now, 5 seconds behind Howard Stadler. I'm surprised he had to pit, to be honest, Tony Klisterman, because, I mean, that's lost him a lot of time. It's lost him about 30 seconds. And he's going to struggle to catch up to Stadler and Warmingham and probably Croft is too far up the road. So maybe a top 8 might be possible for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if Tony keeps going, he'll still finish in the top 10 and still score some valuable points. But yeah, it was so unfortunate, that incident he had on the exit of turn 1. He was having such a good race, and he could have he could have possibly finished on the podium, but it's such an easy mistake to make at Daytona on the exit of turn 1. As Steve Valley's on the grass.
Seen a few drivers use that bit of grass, because where the rallycross circuits. Also, I've got lost again. I mean, I'm blaming it on the track looking the same on all parts of the circuit, but no, certainly have explored those grassy areas at least throughout this event. Steve Lavelli back on his way. XVR, their mood has lightened a little bit recently with Johnny Brandon up into 4th place, but still not over the moon with what they're probably going to come away with today. Here is Jamie McKnight, who's had a bit of a troublesome race. Picks up some damage earlier on in the event. And yeah, not quite sure what's happened to him ever since then, but just seemingly struggling for pace perhaps. He's on the tail of Anthony Woodward, currently half a second behind, getting into the slipstream a little bit, but seemingly not too interested in actually taking it. Now just dips into it once again, but he's going to be way too far behind to go for a move into turn 1. So you can see how careful these drivers have to be. They're just trying to keep the wheel as straight as they possibly can on entry to turn 1 there. They don't want to lock up any brakes if they can possibly help it.
Yeah, absolutely. From my limited run in the V8 Supercar, when I gave it a try offline when iRace was doing the update during the week, it seems to be the V8 Supercar is it's one of those cars that you have to be very smooth and you have to get your braking done in a straight line and then kind of slowly get back on the power on the exit of corners, and also be very smooth of your steering inputs. It's not a car that you can really wrestle into a corner like, say, for example, you can in a GTE or a GT3 car, because there's not really that much aerodynamic downforce.
Yeah, and that's maybe the mistake that some people make, because they see the drivers on telly and they're slipping and sliding perhaps in this car, and they think, you know, oh, you've got to be super aggressive, you've got to manhandle the car around the circuit. Well, actually, you kind of just got to be as smooth as possible around in this car, and maybe the more high downforce cars, as you were saying, around the GT3s and the GTEs, those cars you can be a bit more aggressive with, because you know that the car's probably going to stick with you, and you can kind of push it to the margins a little bit more. Great to see the Victor Tanaka fan club in the YouTube chat today. Marco Numella, who's a driver who on Apex Racing TV we've covered in the World F3 Championship, of course, in the past, and was very competitive in that championship as well. And apparently Tanaka's doing the same times as Brandon. He is. He's staying 1 second behind Johnny Brandon. Unfortunately, and I keep on saying it whenever I talk about Victor Tanaka, he does have another pit stop to make. Where that pit stop will put him out should be around Tony Klosterman later on. But Tanaka certainly has given himself a good account, and considering that he crashed on the oval, in one sense he'll be disappointed that he made the mistake. In
Oh,
another
the
sense,
leader.
though,
The leader's slowing down.
yeah, a little bit slow for Talianchis there. Is that a slowdown, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's slowing down and saving fuel.
Maybe he's just realised that he's going to have one extra lap than he thought he would do. We've got 10.5 minutes to go. That seems to be, I don't know. His pace has been so good in this last stint. He came out of the pit 7.5 seconds ahead, and until a few moments ago, he was 7.5 seconds ahead. Just lost 2 seconds down that on the exit of the bus stop, and since then has been levelling out again. So maybe just a slowdown. I think he can't afford too many of them.
Yeah, yeah. I thought he was running out of fuel because I checked the gap in the lifetime and it was going down a little bit. But yeah, it's like you say, Sammy. You might have got a slowdown on the exit of the bus stop.
A couple of the drivers seemingly struggling now. Nicole Foggy's fallen back into the clutches of George McClay. Gap was 2 seconds, sorry, and it's been 2 seconds for pretty much the entire stint. All of a sudden, McClay now only half a second behind. He was over 1 second faster on that last lap. Also, Johnny Brandon struggling on that last lap, dropped a few tenths of a second to Victor Tanaka after pulling away from him earlier on. So I don't know if maybe they're all using like JRT, and JRT's just said, "You're going quite fast, guys. You're gonna force an extra lap in this one." Of course, these drivers aren't used, at least in this series, to timed races. This is the first season, season 7, where we're using timed races rather than lapped races. And you can imagine lapped races are much more simple. You just do 3 evenly length stints, and it's all nice and comfortable for you. But timed races, it gets a little bit more complicated, and George McClay is the man on the move currently. 1 second faster than the race leader. First to third was separated by about 10 seconds before. It's now down to just 5 seconds, just a couple of laps later. Victor Tanaka into the pits. His third pit stop will be one of the few drivers who've made 3 pit stops, along with Tony Klosterman. Question is, will he be ahead of Klosterman? There's Jackson going side by side with Croft. Line formation there for the Never Quit Racing drivers. They haven't favoured this corner so far, at least Tony Klosterman hasn't, but they get through that one. Those two have been absolutely locked together for the majority of this race. So Tanaka coming out of the pits. Klosterman looks like he's going to be ahead. So Tanaka will drop down into 10th place and is a bit distant as well. He is... that was a longer pit stop than I thought he was going to have. 18 seconds. And to put a decent amount of fuel in there. Maybe with fresh tyres though, so he's going to be really quick. Might get the fastest lap of the race as well. But he is 6 seconds behind Klosterman. So probably going to be a bit of a quiet end to this race for Victor Tanaka.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a good recovery from Victor, considering he whacked the wall on the exit of the bus stop, heading onto the bank on the exit of the bus stop, I think it was, but yeah, he's managed to just slowly get back through the field, and yeah, he's back up into the top 10, and I think 10th position at the end of the race is not a bad result to sniff at.
And it'll help his championship as well. One of the one of the dark horses. Certainly the 2 XBR drivers are the favourites, but I mean, Michael Talianchi could do a few more races. He'd certainly be up there. George McClay as well, very competitive in this season. He wants to get some points back on Nicole Foggy, undoubtedly. Some big points available for today's racing. 450 points for the race winner. And it's rare that you get 450 points in one race meeting. Remember, if we had the Super Sprints 3 races, you'd have to win all 3 races to get that, and no one ever does that, so 450 points is a big deal for these drivers. McClay is looking very racy. Didn't look too fast at the start of this stint. I think his outlap, he somehow lost 2 seconds. But since then, he's been absolutely storming along, and he seems to be the fastest driver out on circuit currently. He's looking every which way, is the TechSense Pitstone Motorsport driver. And it's been a bit of an odd one for McClay so far, I'd say, Ryan, because he's been the static when everyone else has been the variables. Everyone else has had their issues, but he just seems to have stayed in 3rd place for pretty much the entire race.
Yeah, he seemed to be kind of. It seemed to be a bit of a slow start to the race for him as well. I guess sometimes it's not always a bad thing to be a bit slow at the start. I mean, it gives you a chance to settle into the race. But yeah, the start of his second stint, he was a bit slow as well. But as the laps have went on, he's got up to speed. And yeah, just looking at this battle now for second place, he's right behind Nicole Foggy. And I think if I was McClay, I would maybe wait until maybe the last couple of minutes to try and make a move, maybe just stay in the slipstream. But just watch McClay now. He's got a run on Foggy as they head down to turn 1. Does he go for a move? Nope, he backs out of it.
Half a second faster than the race leader on that last lap. They're 4 seconds off the race lead with 6 minutes to go. They're going to need more than half a second a lap if they're going to catch. They need more like a second a lap. Here comes McClay round the outside into turn 2. This is going to be brave. This is going to be bold.
Oh,
And again, this is going to be wide for George McClay. Goes off the circuit, and that's really disappointing for him. Fortunately for those who didn't lose too much time to the race leader in that kerfuffle. Jackson still defending, and finally, oh dear, is spinning off into the wall is Gary Croft. Is he going to lose a position to Richard Warmingham? If he gets back going right away, he might be okay. Here comes Warmingham. There he is. You can see his headlights for XVR Racing. And as long as Croft defends going into turn 2, he should be okay. Warmingham round the outside. He's going to try the move that McClay tried just a few moments ago. But once again, that is so difficult to do. Such an acute corner there. You've got to go so far around the outside. Very difficult to pull off. So Croft stays in that 6th place. Didn't actually lose any places despite that spin. Yeah, and then we've got Stadler and Klosterman catching up to those couple of drivers. So that could be an interesting end for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And then we've got Bogotayev and Woodward, Bogotayev, McKnight all having a battle as well. So a few battles still going on out on circuits as McClay has got ahead of Nicole Foggy. And this is... I guess we just saw a replay of how it happened. And so George McClay up into 2nd position. He's got 5 seconds to catch in about 3 laps, I think. Probably not going to happen, but still, George McClay up into 2nd place.
Yeah, I have to say that was a fantastic move by George. He managed to, I guess, coming up to the bus stop, he just managed to sell a bit of a dummy up the inside of Foggy into the bus stop and managed to pull the move off. And that was a brilliant move by George McClay, and he's slowly pulling away from Foggy.
With the ascendancy then with is George McClay, but not making too much of an impact on the race leaders gap, Michael Taliancic, as it stands. So, having a nice battle are these 3 still. They've been glued together for quite a while. Oh, sorry, apologies. I thought I was watching a different battle there, but no, this battle is relatively new, in fact. It's Croft trying to pass Warmingham. He's only just got past Croft then, so he did eventually make that move. Croft with a little bit of nose damage, potentially. And Stadler up 17 places. And if he could get 6th place out of this, I mean, that would be maximising a result. That would be the definition of maximising a result. They have got Tony Klosterman catching up to the rear of them. Klosterman, agonisingly earlier on in the season at Interlagos, had an awful race, but then caught up to about 6 cars on the last lap and didn't have time to pass all of them. I fear that he's going to be in the exact same situation in today's race as well, because he is now 2 seconds behind. But I think he's probably going to catch them right on the last lap of the race, because we've only got 2 more minutes to go. The race leader's just started is lap 49, and so that means that we're going to have for these guys 2 more laps after this one. So maybe time for Kloosman to just about catch up right at the end.
Yeah, if these three guys start holding each other up, it could, yeah, just watch checking the gap for Klisterman, and yeah, he's slowly closing the gap down to Harold Stadler and these two cars in front of Stadler. So yeah, we could be on for a late battle for, as you say, Sam. Just for yeah, it might give Klisterman a chance to possibly try and gain some more positions before the race finishes. But on board with Stadler, he tries to make a move around the outside into turn one, but he can't get it done. And Croft is going to hold that position down to the hairpin. Uh, yeah, so I think we could be in for some late race drama.
Down the inside goes Stadler into
Oh, what a
turn
move!
2, and that is nicely done. Absolutely right, Ryan, because there was not a big gap whatsoever there. That took guts, and Harold Stadler, who perhaps isn't known necessarily for his racecraft, usually a very consistent driver, fantastically, but he has pulled off some cracking moves, particularly down into that turn 2 so far today, and he's up into 7th place, which after starting in 25th place was a while away from him. He's now got Richard Warringham to overtake now. He's got Chris Jackson a long way up the road. Of course, he's not going to catch up to him. But 6th place would be an incredible effort from a TechSense Fitside Motorsport driver. Kloosman is now pretty much on the back of these guys. He's 8/10 of a second behind. So you might get past Croft. They are teammates, remember. They are Never Quit Racing teammates. Are Stadler? Are Croft and Kloosman. So there might be some team games there. But only one more lap to go for these drivers. There's only less than 1 lap to go for the race leader, Michael Taliancic. He just set one of his worst laps of the race, as Brandon has got past Foggy. What has happened to Nicole Foggy? Has he got fuel issues?
Yeah, I was just about to say, Foggy was I don't know if his pace dropped off a little bit. I think, and yeah, I think Foggy might have some fuel problems. He might have underfueled possibly.
He's going around decently through the infield.
Short
with
shifting.
Foggy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Oops, sorry, Sam.
I was just going to say, how far behind is he going to drop? He's got 7 seconds to Chris Jackson. You know what? I think Jackson's going to catch him right at the end of this race. It's also getting quite close between the two leaders. They are really struggling for fuel because Taliancic, who was 10 seconds ahead of George McClay just 10 minutes ago, the gap's down to 2.5 seconds. But this is the last lap. You can hear it, fuel save. Going into the bus stop, has he got enough fuel, Michael Taliancic? We saw a super tight finish between Tanaka and Foggy or Brandon earlier on in the season at Interlagos. But Michael Taliancic has driven this race absolutely superbly in terms of the strategy. Hasn't put a foot wrong all day long. And this, on that 51 at Daytona International Speedway, it's going to be enough fuel to get him to the line. Michael Taliancic wins at Daytona, his first win in the series for a long time, and certainly one of the most significant wins he's had in the series as well. McClay got to within 2 and a bit seconds of the race leader right at the end. Brandon is surely going to hold off Foggy, is he? They might come across in formation. Here comes Foggy, he's closing in the slipstream. Maybe he saved a little bit too much fuel. Or maybe there was a little bit of a team agreement there. They came in as the favourites. They finished 3rd and 4th. It could have been better. It could have been worse, admittedly, for them. Chris Jackson only 5 seconds behind in the end. And here we are. We're going to have a run to the line. It's going to be Stadler versus Warmingham. Stadler, who started in 25th position. Can he get 6th place up the line? Yes, he can. Fantastic drive from Harold Stadler, up 19 positions. And he needed every one of the 90 minutes to gain the positions that he needed. But it's also going to be close between Tanaka and, or that may have been a back marker. Sorry, I think it may have been, yeah, a back marker perhaps. Jamie McKnight struggling. He will approach the line, but he's going to lose out to O'Connor, who streams passing. He's going to lose out to Steve Lavelli, another XBR driver. Streams past him as well, and McKnight with not an ounce of fuel left in that car will peacefully cross the line after roaring for 89 and a half minutes, the last half minute, very serene for the Evolution Sim Racing driver. So, what a race that was! That was absolutely fantastic. And I think we can go through the final results. Yep, everyone has crossed the line. And we can go through the final results. 90 minutes of racing, and it came down to 2 seconds. Taliancic wins. George McClay finishes in second position, and I mean, McClay's won one race in his time in this series. How he's only won one race, but that is good for his championship. He does close in on the championship leaders a little bit. Johnny Brandon looks to all be going right for him for the most part, running in second place, going into this final pit stop, picks up a penalty in his pits, and still finished in third place though. Nicole Foggy with issues right at the end finishes in fourth. Chris Jackson, a bit of a quiet fifth place, but it nearly turns into a podium right at the finish. Hal Stadler beats Richard Warmingham by half a tenth of a second across the line, with Gary Croft a very close 8th. And then it was Tony Kluson couldn't quite get involved in that battle in 9th. Victor Tanaka, what could have been for him if he hadn't have hit the wall in the early stages, finishes in 10th place with a 3-stop strategy. Anthony Woodward, a quiet 11th, but he really did make some good progress in that final stint. Nikolai Bogatire finished in 12th. There's Lena Connor in 13th, Steve Lavelli in 14th, and Jay McKnight running out of fuel at the end, but still 15th place for him, finishing on the lead lap. Drivers who finished on one lap down were Ole Christian Unberg, Ronald Means, Greg Carr, Adam Delmonts, Bobby Childs, and then 2 laps down were Angie Hoffman, Clyde Whiting, Bill Switzer, and Chad Parker. And then the retirees, Juan Mateve, who got involved in a couple of collisions, Michael Mueller, Ashley Beard, Adam McNally, and unfortunately Dave Janssen did not take the start. So, if we've got any breath left, we'll just have some interviews, and we've got a few guys to be fair up for an interview. And well, how could we not have a chat with Michael Taliancic, who wins today at Daytona? And Mike, congratulations! I mean, that was an exciting race in terms of the strategy, and it got very close at the end. George closed in on you by I think 8 seconds in the last few laps.
Yeah, well, I sort of made a bit of a error in the fuel strategy there, and took on probably about a lap too little in fuel, so I made it the hard way.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of strategy, though, in the end, you did absolutely nail it. You went one lap further in the first stint, and crucially, your second pit stop was about 3 seconds faster than everyone else, which proved decisive. Was that your strategy all along? Were you really trying to fuel save a lot?
Yeah, I was focused on a fuel save game. I was like, in the first stint, I took the lead, and I was like, maybe I can break the draft, because I knew I had the pace after following them for a little while, but there's so much draft here. There was no way I was going to break off the pace, but we managed to break off some of the other cars, and then that's why I pulled right and just went back to fuel saving.
And yeah, a terrific win for you. I was struggling to remember the last time you won a race in this series, but can you recall?
Well, I don't know if you really counted the series, but the 3-hour Bathurst race or 2-hour Bathurst that we had a couple of months ago, that was my last one here.
Ah, right. Okay. So yeah, not too long ago then, but yeah, in the official series, maybe a little bit further ago. And of course, it's fantastic to have you in the series occasionally. Do you think that you're going to be around for the race in 2 weeks' time?
I plan to race the full season. Last race, I just had some prior engagements that I had to attend to, so I couldn't make it, but I should be racing the full season.
How awesome. It'll be fantastic to see you in the future rounds. Mike, and is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to thank my longtime supporter MXTV for the team, and yeah, I brought on Track Racer as a new sponsor for the team this week, so that was the first time the debut's been on broadcast, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, and thanks to all the competitors and fans.
Thanks, Mike, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Cheers. See ya.
so I got a few more interviews to get through. I think next up, he had a few tribulations in the race, but Johnny Brandon, 3rd place. And I mean, it's a bit of a difficult one because in one sense you'll be really frustrated that perhaps you could have won. In another sense, you'll be glad that you got the podium with just 1 lap to go. Yeah, how are you feeling right now? Relieved or frustrated?
Hi Sam, guys. Yeah, I really don't know, to be honest. I'm devastated, really, because we were fuel saving from the start, no cruising along, and I don't know if you saw my last pit stop. I went in, and for some reason, it's unchecked the fuel, so it did my tyres and put my car down. And the guy lifted the lollipop, and I looked at the lollipop, I looked at my fuel gauge, and there's no fuel going in the car. So I've had to start again and click to put the fuel in. I reckon it's cost me about 20 seconds.
Yeah,
I was about 9 seconds in front of Foggy at the time, and I was taking less fuel than Foggy was going to take, because Foggy had an issue in the pit stop as well on his first stop, which separated him from us. So I've never had that before. I've had it uncheck the tyres, but not the fuel. That's, yeah, pretty gutting. But well done to Mike Taliancic and to George. Well played.
And what was going on between you and Foggy in those closing stages? Because Nicole, was he just struggling
He was
on
running
fuel
out of
more?
fuel. Yeah, he
Oh,
was
okay,
running out of fuel. So I was just waiting to give him a bit of slipstream and help him back to the line, basically. He tried something in that last stint and it didn't quite work. So
Still, some pretty epic battling there. It must be good fun in this V8 Supercar because, you know, in GTs, you can pop into a race and you're pretty much guaranteed tight racing. But in this V8 Supercar, of course, it's not so guaranteed. But to have, I'd say probably 7 or 8 drivers fighting for that race win today, it was looking pretty epic.
yeah, and I mean, the track helps with that, to be fair. But then when you got drivers like Mike Taliancic, you know, regular stops guy, and Jane McKnight, Tony Klusterman, Victor Tanaka, Chris Jackson, Nicole Foggy, George McClay, you know, some serious drivers in there. So add that to a track that gives about best part of a second's worth of slipstream, you're going to have some close racing. So it was all about fuel saving that race. So it wasn't worth trying to push to pull away because you weren't going to be over a second quicker than somebody else. So all you had to do was save as much fuel as possible so that your final stop was the shortest one. And then it's all about track position after that. So yeah, hence my devastation. It had all gone perfectly to plan until that second stop, and then for some reason it unchecked the fuel. Yeah, but it is what it is. So yeah, there we go. As you say, I was lucky to get 3rd, to be honest, albeit at Foggy's expense, which isn't nice. But yeah, we both had a bit of an unfortunate one because he had a problem in his first stop. I can't remember what it was, but something didn't go to plan. Something wasn't right. So yeah, bit of a strange one.
Yeah, so I certainly wish you the best of luck in 2 weeks' time, and also the Sprint Cup, of course, next week as well. Before we let you go, Johnny, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Well, I won't be there next week, I don't think, at the Spring Cup because I'm off fishing in France now.
Oh, very
Literally
nice.
in about an hour's time. So yeah, I won't be there for the next one, but I'll be back in the 2 weeks. Anyone I'd like to thank you guys for doing your usual great job, all my teammates, and I have to thank my friend John O'Shea for letting me do this because he's my fishing buddy. So he's been sitting patiently waiting. So cheers O'Shea. Thanks guys.
Thanks, Johnny, and yeah, best of luck for 2 weeks' time.
Cheers Sam. Take care.
So, who are we going to have a chat with next? I guess we will have a chat with Harold Stadler, who had a terrific run. And congratulations, Harold. That starts in 25th position and finishing in 6th place. And you needed every one of the 90 minutes in the end to get that 6th place. It was a super close finish there.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I messed up the quali. I couldn't get one timed lap in. Too much off tracks and such. So yeah, started 25th, and then the first run was fuel saving a little bit to get one more lap because I wasn't sure if it's 51 or 52 laps. in the time, and then from then on it was just fire and go. And yeah, in the last lap, thankfully, who was it? Gary Croft. Was it Gary Croft? Yeah, made a little mistake, and Rich and I catched up to him. And yeah, then the slipstream battle was on. It was a nice race, and at the end, I could get Rich at the line. Yeah.
We saw you make some awesome moves out there, particularly into turn 2. You had to make quite a few overtakes today. Were you particularly pleased with your racecraft? Because looking at your car at the end of the race, it was really clean.
Well, I saw at the lap times were not so good as I thought, but I saw at with the gaps to the front runners that my race pace was quite okay, and at least I was able to catch up to. I think I was Chris Jackson. I was watching all the time, and I was also catching up to him in lap times when I had free laps. So yeah, race pace was quite good, and well, I'm happy.
In 2 weeks' time, and in the Sprint Cup as well next week, we head to Phillip Island. Is that a circuit that you've driven round much?
I know this circuit, but I haven't driven that much on that circuit, especially not in the V8. It will be the first time with the V8, so yeah, let's get a surprise. But it must work because Australian car on an Australian track has to work.
Yes, absolutely, of course. Thanks for putting on such a show today, Harold. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, of course. I want to thank Fitzday Motorsports for taking me on board. That was really a surprise when I got your call. Yeah, and I think George and we fit very well in the as teammates. So yeah, thanks for that chance. And yeah, of course, to you guys doing all the work, the streaming and the stream, and to of course Racetech for sponsoring the series this year or this season.
Thanks, Harold, and I guess we'll see you tomorrow in the British GT Championship.
Yep, see you tomorrow.
So that was Harold Stadler there, finishing in a terrific 6th place there for TechSense Pitstay Motorsports. Still got time for a couple more interviews. You know what? We'll bring them both in. Tony Kloosterman and Chris Jackson are with us right now, and guys, not too bad in the end, but I imagine particularly Tony, probably not the race that you really hoped for. You were leading at one point in the race, but just in the end, a small tap with the wall when you were fighting with George McClay.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Whatever result I had was completely due to my own mistakes. So, at the end of the day, it's a 9th place. It's 8 places better than last year at Daytona. So I have to say that was an improvement.
Yes, absolutely. But in qualifying, both of you guys maybe seemed a little bit more detached than you usually are. You guys tend to, be fighting for pole position. But in the race, particularly Tony, you were right there. You were leading the race, like I said. Were you surprised by how much pace you had in the race?
I was very pleased with the pace we had. Gary Croft just built a really good long run set for the race, and I was making inroads during the first stint, and managing to keep my spot in the second stint until that little incident. So, I was really happy with the pace, and it should have been a top 4 or 5, but in the end, it is what it is.
And Chris as well, you must be pretty happy with that one in 5th place. You had a terrific battle with Gary Croft for pretty much the majority of the race. You two were nose to tail until unfortunately Gary made a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, I think he had the best race he's had. He was incredible. He didn't give me a gap whatsoever. So hats off to Gary. That was a lot of fun, and I'm very impressed.
And how were the tyres out there for you guys? So you were changing tyres every half an hour or so, and of course it's a cool track temperature. So were you able to push on them without worry that they were going to degrade?
They're a little iffy, a little iffy in the last 3 or 4 laps.
I made the mistake. I went a little rogue with the setup. I found a bit of pace in practice and qualifying, and I tried to make a race set out of it untested. So I was really struggling with pace near the end. So I should have ran the Gary set that Tony was running with, because that was excellent pace wise and longevity.
And also in those closing laps, Chris, you closed in on the 2 XVR drivers significantly. Did you think perhaps on that last lap that you could perhaps get to them, because they were really struggling with fuel?
I didn't know what was going on. I just saw the F3 Delta going down. I thought this would be great if I could get them at the line, but they definitely had pace, so they deserved a third and fourth or whatever they got there at the end.
And of course, all the races to go to next up. The next one's pretty good for both of you guys. I certainly remember the last time we visited there, you locked out the front row of the grid. And I think may have certainly won race 1, Chris. I always say how you've won, I think, 2 of your 3 races in this series round Phillip Island. So both you and Tony must feel very confident about that.
I'm hoping for a similar result, but like Tony said, and I think Johnny said, is the quality of drivers this season is incredible. So if I can get a top 3 there, I'll be very happy.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck. And is there anyone either of you would like to thank? Firstly, Tony.
Our team puts in a lot of effort. All the guys do, and very pleased with that. Racetech for sponsoring the series. Sustainability, our main sponsor on the car, and you guys for doing a great job. Thank you.
And Chris, is there anyone you'd like to add?
Like Tony said, Racetech, Simability, definitely my wife. I have to give a hats off. She's watching my son today, so thanks to her, and thanks to the broadcast. Great job.
Thank you very much, and certainly wish you guys the best of luck in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Cheers. Take care.
We've had quite a few interviews already, of course, but we're going to have one more, and it's going to be with Andrew Hoffman, who finished in 21st position. Andrew, pretty good result that you kept the car clean, only 2 laps down, and a good consistent result, and you had quite a clean car at the end of the race as well.
Yeah, got caught up in a spin in the start. Not my fault, and fighting back from last position to 21st. I had a top 15 car easy. I enjoyed the race. It was good fun. Big shout out to Mike T as well for his coaching. It's brought me up into the mid-pack, so really happy with that.
You seemed to be involved in battles throughout. I think it was Clyde Whiting in particular, and also Bobby Charles, that you were having a fantastic battle with pretty much for the entire 90 minutes from what I saw.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Look, I'm in that area in the pack now, and I'm really enjoying the close racing. Learn a lot as you're going along. They're both good drivers, and it was good fun. Really enjoyed it.
And next time we go to Phillip Islands, is that one that you enjoy? Have you got much experience around that track?
Got a lot of experience at Phillip Island, pretty much on the pace, and with the extra coaching from Mike T. Let's hope I'm up there towards the pointy end.
We certainly wish you the best of luck for that one. Andrew, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, yourselves. You always do a great job. Racetech, Fletcher Junior, and Flowercast Bay Retreat. And everyone else involved behind the scenes that don't get mentioned. They do a really good job for the league.
Absolutely, +1 on that one. Thanks, Angie, for having a chat with us, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Okay, no worries, fellas. Thank you.
So I think that pretty much rounds out our interviews for today. And Ryan, what a terrific race that was. I mean, your first ever race covering this championship, and of all the races to do your first ever race round, this was a pretty good one. It was action from start to finish, and it was difficult to call a winner for pretty much the entire 90 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. For my first time covering the series, I have to say that was really good fun. The racing throughout the field was fantastic, and yeah, it just yeah, definitely proved to be that from what people have said, that the community is so friendly, the racing is great, and yeah, it's definitely why I've decided to join the league, and I should be on the track at Phillip Island in the next round in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, looking forward to that. But tonight it's just been awesome fun, and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing more of this in the future.
Absolutely, will be great to see more league members for this championship. Of course, if you do like the look of this UAV8 Supercar series, there's also a Sprint Cup as well every other week that we don't broadcast. It's on the same time slots, and it's 3 20-minute races. It's a little bit more of a fun league. Unfortunately, it isn't broadcasted by Apex Racing TV. It's broadcasted elsewhere, though. So, check that out. So contact Clyde Whiting on Discord, or go on the v8esc.com website, and you can find sign up details and stuff to do with that. Of course, tomorrow we'll be back, me and Ryan, along with Marco Barbino once again, for the inaugural round of the Apex Racing League British GT Championship. That'll be Sunday evening. We've also got the Aussie Mixed and Fixed as well in the morning for you Europeans, in the evening for the Australians. And yeah, we've got other series, of course, on Monday. We've got the BSR MX5 Amateur Series. We're also covering the World GT and the BSR Pro Series on the iRacing Esports Network as well. So certainly check out that channel as well. Certainly hope that you've enjoyed this broadcast. We certainly have in the commentary box, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for 2 races at Phillip Island in the Racetech UAV8 Supercar Series. But for now, from me, from Ryan, and from Sam as well, we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.